So I've just gotten done with watching Dragon Ball Daima episode 3 titled Daima. Now this episode is centered around the trio of Goku, the Supreme Kai and Glorio finally arriving into the demon realm. This episode has a complete intro song along with eye catches in the middle of the episode along with a outro sequence. Before the intro we do get this very short recap, so we pick up with where we had left off in episode 2. The first half of this episode is centered around traveling to the demon realm, while the second half sees Goku, the Supreme Kai and Glorio arriving within the third demon world. A lot of lore is revealed about the nature of the demon world. Attention is paid to this gas which thickens the atmosphere of the third demon world. In addition to new information being revealed, we also get a couple of fight sequences in this episode, and as always the animation is truly flawless in these sections. It's really fun to see Goku bouncing around the screen, not really taking any of his opponents seriously as he effortlessly takes out one individual after another. So episode 3 is a bit slower in its pacing as half of the time is spent traveling to the demon world, as then we explore some areas including a hotel before we reach the cliffhanger ending for episode 3. So before I give everything away, let's dive into my complete review for episode 3 of Dragon Ball Daima. The beginning of this episode focuses on how individuals travel to and from the demon realm, as we learn about Warp Summer, that fish in which Goma and Degisu had traveled through in order to arrive at Earth in episode 1. So we learn that that is actually called Warp Summer, and there are multiple different Warp Summer across the universe. As I've mentioned in my previous reviews, travel to and from the demon realm was easily done in the past, but now there's an entire system where you need pre-authorization, where you are granted a pin in order to use Warp Summer. This adds a lot of history and depth to this new world that we are entering. So yeah, there was definitely an air of tension as well as adventure to see Goku and the Supreme Kai enter into this new world. So Warp Summer was actually checking whether if everyone on board Glorio's ship is from the demon realm, and he was doing so by checking whether if their ears are pointy. Now thanks to Supreme Kai's powers, he was able to temporarily change the shape of Goku's ears in order to make them pointy to fool Warp Summer. With Warp Summer satisfied that all three of them are from the demon realm, he allows them entry through the gate. Like I mentioned, Warp Summer requires a pin, and Glorio's pin is 8821, and unfortunately the Supreme Kai was unable to relay this pin to Kibito, which means that Vegeta, Piccolo, Bulma as well as Kibito will definitely struggle to make their own way to the demon realm, so it's going to be fun to see what happens there. So once they enter into Warp Summer, things get a bit chaotic as they are spun around really intensely, and they are brought in front of these three portals as we learn that the demon realm is split into 3 worlds. So there's World 1, which the highest ranking individuals belong to, so that's where the king of the demon realm, King Goma as well as Degisu are. Then there's the second demon world, and this is where we learn that the Supreme Kai's race is from. And then the third demon realm is in fact the lowest ranking one, and usually individuals from this world don't even have access to use Warp Summer, as travel to and from the demon realm is usually reserved for individuals from worlds 1 and 2. So when they arrive, they see this mountainous terrain with these floating rocks, and we also learn that within each world there is something called a whole path. So beyond this whole path lies the second demon world, and beyond that is the first demon world. In the past you could freely travel between demon worlds, but it seems like in recent years restrictions have been placed as this shield of light is over the whole path, preventing passage to and from the worlds. The Supreme Kai explains that this is why Warp Summer is there, in order for individuals to travel between the demon worlds. But back when he was in the demon world there was no need for a pin. Now what's strange is that the Supreme Kai questions Glorio, asking if he's from the third demon world, then how was he able to have access to the Warp Summer? Glorio mysteriously reveals that he does some work within the first demon world. When Supreme Kai asks him to elaborate, he doesn't reveal any more information, as he just says he does this and that. Within the third demon world is this battered and unmaintained statue of King Dabura, so it seems like he wasn't really very popular in this world. As they travel through the world, Glorio explains that the plants and animals within the demon world are different to those found on Earth, despite there being some similarities in how the demon world looks like in comparison to Earth. So Goku actually says that he wants to breathe the outside air, and this is where new information is revealed about the atmosphere of the demon world. Even when Goku tries to throw some punches and move around, he can feel how dense the atmosphere is. Glorio explains that there is a gas which is released from the volcanoes on these floating islands, which makes the air really heavy. Now what's interesting is that they've linked this to some demonic stuff that we see in movies. From pop culture, we know that demons are accompanied by this rotten egg or sulfuric smell. So in Daima, it's explained that this smell in the atmosphere and the heavy gas is from the volcanoes which release sulfur into the atmosphere, which gives it that rotten egg smell. I found that this was a really nice addition that they've added into the world, as something that again links back to pop culture. Speaking of pop culture, I cannot help but to notice several similarities between Star Wars and this series, especially with the character of Glorio, who reminds me a lot of Han Solo. It's his really cool personality along with his attire. He genuinely looks like a bounty hunter. We learned that between the rocks is this sea of darkness, and if Goku was to fall into it, Glorio explains that he would perish instantly. So it's great that as Goku's running around exploring, we're learning new information about this realm. The second half of the episode does begin with Goku, Glorio, and the Supreme Kai being attacked by this group of bandits, but thankfully Glorio uses his gun in order to take them out swiftly. Now Glorio explains that he was sent on this mission to recruit Goku from King Kadan from the third demon world, and this king wants Goku's help in order to defeat King Goma. Yeah, there's a lot of crude toilet humor within this episode, which really gives me that original Dragon Ball vibe, and it's also being mixed with a lot of elements from Dragon Ball GT, as this episode reminds me a lot of those early GT episodes when Goku, Pan, and Trunks had arrived on planet Emeka, and their ship was damaged and they were kind of stranded on the planet for some period of time. Now something similar does happen by the end of this episode, but before that the three of them check into a hotel, but Goku is still hungry, so they go to a nearby bar and he orders 5 hamburgers. When Goku asks what meat is in the burgers, Glorio just says don't ask, as he just happily continues on eating it. Yeah, it's here where the other demons in the bar begin to pick on Goku for having round ears, and this is where we get a really tense action sequence, as Glorio even joins in as he defeats a couple of individuals, and Goku makes quick work of the rest of them while eating his burger. I truly love this action sequence in the second half. There was a lot of focus on hand-to-hand combat, everything felt really fresh, and it was so similar to the action sequences that we see in the original Dragon Ball anime. There's a mixture of comedy and action here, which gives it that light-hearted tone, and you can tell where the roots of this series lie, and it's from those early Kung Fu Jackie Chan movies where he would incorporate comedy into his fight scenes, and I just loved seeing that here. There's so many nostalgic things that they've really thought about which have been included in this episode, and it just makes me really happy as a fan to see this on screen. Each episode continues to exceed my expectations, and I find myself really enjoying what Daima is doing. So yeah, after Goku wipes out the entire bar, they leave to go and sleep, as they wake up to discover that Glorio's ship is missing, with a note that has been left in its place. Then we cut to the credits and we see a short preview for episode 4, which is titled Chatty. Episode 3 does a fantastic job of revealing new lore details to us, as well as delivering action, humor, and moments of character growth too. While the plot is still setting up, I feel like the Demon Realm has been introduced as a very interesting new location, and I find it hard to believe that anybody who loves Dragon Ball is not going to be enjoying this series. It has so much from the original series as well as elements from GT, and it's building upon all of that in order to give us a brand new story. With each episode, I'm dying to learn new information about the Dragon Ball world. I'm looking forward to seeing Goku's hilarious antics and the Supreme Kai's reactions to it. Overall, it's just really enjoyable. I had a lot of fun with episode 3 of Dragon Ball Daima, but I do want to hand over the discussion to all of you. What do you guys think about this latest episode of this new Dragon Ball series? Have you been enjoying Dragon Ball Daima as much as I have? There are a lot of mysteries about Glorio's character, which hopefully will be revealed in the upcoming episodes. And from what was revealed within this episode, you can guarantee that Daima is going to have us exploring each of the demon worlds as we begin this brand new adventure. So yeah, do continue the discussion in the comments. I look forward to reading all of your thoughts. And lastly, thanks for making it to the end of this video, and I cannot wait to see you next week for my review of episode 4 of Dragon Ball Daima. A massive thank you goes out to all of my amazing Patreon supporters for helping to make this video possible. If you also want to support the channel and see your name in the end of my videos, then check out my Patreon, which has loads of perks like early video access and so much more. Thank you for sticking around till the end of the video, and whatever you contribute will mean a lot to me.